At first glance, my life with Mark seemed like a page ripped straight out of a glossy magazine. We were the perfect pair, the enviable couple. I, Monica, the diligent accountant, and he, the dashing new head of the department. Our story began at the office, where quick chats by the coffee machine blossomed into a whirlwind romance. "Can't believe my luck," Mark would often say, his arm wrapped around me. From colleagues to life partners. "It's like we were meant to be." I'd smile, nod, and play along. Yeah, who would have thought? The dream team, both at work and home. But as the pages of our story turned, the dream began to show its cracks. After we moved into my personal home, Mark's true colors started to seep through the facade of the perfect husband. He wanted the traditional setup, him, the breadwinner, me, the housewife. "It's how it should be, Monica," he'd insist. "My mom did it, your mom did it. It's tradition." I wanted to argue, to say that times had changed, but I swallowed my words. The prospect of starting a family, of building our little world, was too tempting. So, I hung up my accountant's hat and embraced the role of a housewife, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. The first drops hit when I noticed the trail of socks and underwear Mark left around the house. "Seriously, Mark? Am I married to a man or a centipede?" I joke, trying to keep the mood light. He'd laugh it off, clueless or indifferent to the chaos he was creating. "Come on, Monica. It's just socks. No big deal." But it was a big deal. It was the dishes left by the TV, the pizza boxes on the armchair, the complete disregard for the sanctity of our home. I tried to talk to him, to make him see reason. "Mark, this isn't working. You need to clean up after yourself. This is our home, not a frat house." His reaction was always the same: anger, defensiveness, and a barrage of excuses. "I work all day, Monica. I don't have time for this. You're the housewife, remember? This is your job." Cooking, cleaning, trying to keep the peace, it was a never-ending cycle, a dance I performed to the tune of Mark's whims. But beneath the surface, resentment simmered, a silent scream against the life I was trapped in. Life with Mark's parents felt like a constant invasion. They had this way of just storming into our house, their presence as subtle as a sledgehammer. They never bothered to call ahead, they'd just show up, expecting to be fed and entertained. One afternoon, I was caught off guard by the sound of the doorbell. As I opened the door, there they were, Mark's parents, bags of shopping in hand, looking like they'd just claimed victory in some sort of retail battle. "Well, aren't you going to invite us in, Monica?" Mark's mom, Judy, asked with a tone that brooked no argument. I managed a weak smile, stepping aside. "Of course, come on in." They made a beeline for the kitchen, settling themselves at the table as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "We thought we'd stop by. You know, save you the trouble of cooking for just you and Mark," Judy declared, unloading her shopping bags with a clatter. Stan, Mark's dad, chimed in, already eyeing the fridge. "Yeah, and we figured you'd appreciate the company." "What's for lunch then, Monica?" I felt a pang of irritation. My home, my sanctuary, had turned into a pit stop for their convenience. "I was just about to make some sandwiches," I said, trying to hide my frustration. Sandwiches turned into a full-blown meal as I found myself chopping, stirring, and frying, trying to meet their unspoken expectations. Mark wasn't any help. He'd just slump on the couch, his eyes glued to the TV, completely oblivious to the circus in the kitchen. Later, after they'd left, I tried to talk to Mark about it. "Your parents can't just drop by like this, Mark. It's exhausting. I can't even relax in my own home." He barely looked up from his phone. "Oh, come on, Monica. They're just being friendly. It's not a big deal." I could feel my patience wearing thin. "It is a big deal, Mark. I'm not here to wait on you and your parents hand and foot. I need some space, some respect." But my words seemed to bounce right off him. They're family, Monica. That's just how family is. Besides, they think you enjoy it. I'd look in the mirror, the reflection staring back at me a far cry from the woman who once walked the office halls in sharp suits and high heels. Now, it was all baggy sweaters and messy buns, my appearance a casualty of the endless demands of my home life. I missed those days, the click-clack of my heels, the sense of purpose each morning brought. Now, my days were a whirlwind of pots and pans, of cleaning up after uninvited guests who treated my home like a pit stop. As the days turned into months, life with Mark grew colder, the distance between us widening like a chasm. His behavior started changing, subtle shifts at first, then more pronounced. A new haircut that made him look years younger, suits that screamed of trying too hard, and a scent that wasn't his usual. It was like he was morphing into someone else, someone I didn't recognize. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just a phase, a midlife crisis maybe. But the nagging suspicion in my mind refused to be silenced. It gnawed at me, kept me awake at night. "Mark, is there something you're not telling me?" I finally asked one evening, the words spilling out before I could stop them. We were sitting at the dinner table, an ocean of silence between us. He looked up, startled, like he'd been caught off guard. "What do you mean, Monica?" "I'm not hiding anything." But his eyes, they darted away too quickly, his words a little too rushed. "It's just, you've changed, Mark. The clothes, the perfume. It's like you're a different person." He let out a forced chuckle, but there was no warmth in it. "Come on, Monica. A man can't spruce himself up? I'm just trying to keep things fresh, that's all." I wanted to believe him, I really did. But the doubts, once sown, refused to be uprooted. They grew, fed by his late nights at the office, the weekends he was suddenly too busy, the texts he'd quickly hide when I walked in. The truth, however brutal, couldn't be ignored any longer. So, when he stood up at one of those awkward dinners with his parents, his announcement hit me not like a surprise, but like a confirmation of what I'd already known deep down. "I'm filing for divorce, Monica," he declared, his voice steady, devoid of any emotion. "I've met someone else. Someone young, vibrant. She's everything you're not." The words cut through the room, leaving a trail of shock and disbelief. His parents looked from him to me, their expressions a mix of confusion and dismay. "Mark, what are you saying? This is your wife, for heaven's sake," his mom exclaimed, her voice a mix of anger and disbelief. "Yeah, son. You can't just throw away your marriage like this," his dad chimed in, his brow furrowed in concern. But Mark was relentless, his words a dagger twisting in my heart. "It's decided. I want a family, a son. And Monica, well, she's not up to it. She's let herself go. It's time for a fresh start." His mistress, he painted her like a trophy, a prize he'd won, while painting me, his wife of 5 years, as a worn-out shoe, discarded and forgotten. The divorce papers he slid across the table were just a formality, his signature a cold, impersonal stroke of ink. But as I took them, something inside me shifted. The pain, the betrayal, it sparked a fire, a determination to not let this be the end of my story. "Fine, Mark. I'm offering you a probation period," I said, my voice steady, my resolve firm. 3 months. If you succeed, I will give you a divorce without further ado." His smirk said it all. He thought he'd won, thought he'd broken me. But little did he know, he'd just awakened a sleeping tiger. Mark packed his things, his smugness almost tangible as he prepared to move in with his mistress. I watched him, my expression unreadable. "Enjoy your probation period, Mark. Make sure she's worth it." His grin was all the confirmation I needed that he had no idea what was coming. The moment he left, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was time for a fresh start, and not just for me. The moment I suggested the probation period, I knew it was a gamble. My friend, Lisa, thought I'd completely lost it. We sat in my kitchen, the room still echoing with the remnants of Mark's departure. Monica, this is madness. Lisa exclaimed, her eyebrows knitted in concern. You're just giving him a free pass to walk all over you. I took a slow sip of my coffee, feeling the warmth spread through me. No, Lisa. This isn't surrender. It's strategy. Mark thinks he's playing me, but he's actually walking right into my trap. Lisa looked skeptical, her arms crossed. And what about his parents? They treat your place like a drive-through. You going to let that slide too? A smirk tugged at the corner of my lips. Oh, they're part of the plan too. Just wait and see. Sure enough, the very next day, as if on cue, Mark's parents barged in, their uninvited presence as predictable as ever. This time, though, I was ready. I stood in the doorway, blocking their path with a newfound resolve. Monica, dear, move aside. We're famished. Mark's mom, Judy, declared, trying to push past me. Not so fast, I said, standing my ground. You're both on a 3-month probation period, just like Mark. The confusion on their faces was almost comical. Probation period? What nonsense is this? Mark's dad, Ron, blustered, his face turning a shade of red I hadn't seen before. You heard me, I continued, my voice calm but firm. It's time for some ground rules. My house isn't a diner, and I'm not your personal chef. Respect that, or find somewhere else to eat. Judy's mouth opened and closed, like a fish out of water. But we're family, Monica. You can't just. I can, and I am, I interrupted, the power of taking control surging through me. Family or not, everyone needs to respect my space. You've had a free pass for too long. Ron looked like he was about to argue further, but Judy placed a hand on his arm, a silent signal. They exchanged a look, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, with a huff, Ron nodded. Fine, Monica. We'll respect your probation period, he grumbled, the words clearly leaving a bitter taste in his mouth. The silence in the house was deafening after Mark and his parents left. It was the first time in years I had the space to just breathe. I looked around, taking in the quiet, and something inside me clicked. This was my chance, my time to rediscover the Monica I'd buried under layers of compromise and sacrifice. I started with small steps. First, it was the clutter Mark had left behind. I gathered his things, boxing them up, each item a farewell to the life I'd known. This is for you, Monica, I whispered to myself. No looking back. Next, I tackled the mirror. The reflection staring back at me was a far cry from the vibrant woman I used to be. Time to change that, I said, my voice a mix of determination and excitement. I rummaged through my closet, pushing past the shapeless clothes I'd hidden behind. Deep down, I found the outfits I'd worn back in my accounting days, sharp, chic, a reminder of the confident woman I was. I dressed, the fabric feeling like armor, and for the first time in ages, I smiled at my reflection. The transformation didn't stop there. I hit the ground running, literally. Each morning, I laced up my sneakers and pounded the pavement, the rhythm of my steps a chant of empowerment. You're doing this, Monica. For you? I'd tell myself as the miles flew by. My diet changed too. No more quick fixes or catering to uninvited guests. I cooked for one, savoring each meal as a celebration of my newfound independence. The beauty salon became my sanctuary. I sat in the stylist's chair, the buzz of the scissors a melody of change. Just do it, I told the stylist. I'm ready for a new me. And so, my hair was cut, my style revamped. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't just see Monica, I saw strength, resilience, the beauty of a woman reborn. One evening, as I reveled in the quiet of my home, Lisa dropped by, unannounced, but always welcome. Her jaw dropped when she saw me. Monica, is that really you? She gasped, her eyes wide with amazement. I laughed, the sound rich and genuine. The one and only. What do you think? Lisa circled me, her expression one of pure awe. I think Mark won't know what hit him. You're stunning, Monica. Truly. The compliment warmed my heart, but I knew the transformation ran deeper than appearances. It's not for Mark, Lisa. It's for me. I'm rediscovering the Monica I lost, and you know what? She's pretty amazing. Lisa hugged me, her support as unwavering as ever. She always was, Monica. She always was. With my confidence restored and my spirit unbroken, I took the next step. I dusted off my resume, the document a testament to my skills and achievements. Interviews were lined up, each one an opportunity, a doorway to the future I was building for myself. 2 months after Mark's departure, my quiet routine was interrupted by a call that I had anticipated, yet it still held a tinge of surprise. Mark's name flashed on my phone screen, and I answered with a mix of curiosity and a well-concealed sense of triumph. Monica, I need your help. Mark's voice came through, tinged with a desperation I hadn't heard before. She's left me. Said she couldn't deal with my habits, the socks, the mess. I'm alone, Monica. I leaned against the kitchen counter, a sly smile playing on my lips. Really, Mark? That's unfortunate. But what exactly do you want from me now? His voice cracked slightly. I want to come back, Monica. I realize I made a mistake. Can we meet? Please? The words I had been waiting to say came out smoothly. All right, Mark. Let's have dinner this Saturday at our place. We'll talk then. I could hear the relief mixed with a note of triumph in his voice. Thank you, Monica. I'll be there. I knew you'd give us another chance. After the call, the wheels in my mind began to turn. This dinner would be more than just a meal, it would be my stage. I promptly called Mark's parents, extending the invitation for what I knew would be an unforgettable evening. Judy, Ron, I thought you should join us for dinner this Saturday. Mark will be there, I said, my voice steady and inviting. Judy's response was quick and enthusiastic. Oh, Monica, that's wonderful news. We've been so worried about you too. It's about time things went back to normal. Ron's voice rumbled through the phone. Yes, we're looking forward to it, Monica. It's good to have the family back together. Little did they know that normal was the furthest thing from what this dinner was going to be about. I spent the next few days planning not just the menu, but also how I would articulate the newfound clarity and strength I had garnered in their absence. Saturday arrived, bringing with it a moment I had anticipated yet dreaded. The doorbell's chime echoed through the house, a herald of the impending confrontation. I took a deep breath and opened the door. There stood Mark, suitcases in tow, a smirk painting his face. Behind him, Judy and Ron loomed, their expressions a mixture of hope and silent expectations. I knew you'd come to your senses, Mark said, his voice dripping with a misplaced confidence as his eyes roamed over the new me. Wow, Monica, you look incredible. See, I told you she'd come around, he said, turning to his parents with an air of triumph. Judy chimed in, her voice tinged with relief. Oh, Monica, we're so glad. It's about time things got back to how they were. I motioned for them to sit, my demeanor calm but firm. Please, let's settle down. We have much to discuss. As we gathered in the living room, an awkward tension hung in the air, thick and palpable. Mark, with a misplaced sense of victory, took the lead. Monica, I can't tell you how good it is to be back. I've missed us. And you've really changed. I met his gaze, my own unwavering. I didn't change for you. I changed for me. Mark, what you're seeing isn't a welcome back. It's a goodbye. The shock on his face was mirrored in his parents' expressions. Judy's hand flew to her mouth, and Ron's brow furrowed in confusion. What do you mean, Monica? Judy managed to ask, her voice a quiver of disbelief. Mark left because he thought he'd found something better. But life outside wasn't what he expected, was it? I said, turning my attention back to Mark, who seemed to shrink under the weight of my words. It's not like that, Monica. I realized I made a mistake. That woman, she was nothing compared to you. She left because she couldn't handle, well, the things you always took care of. Mark stuttered, his bravado fading with each word. You mean your mess, your irresponsibility? I corrected him sharply. And now you think you can just waltz back in here, back into my life? Judy interjected, her voice laced with desperation. But Monica, he's realized his mistake. Can't you give him another chance? No, Judy. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill, not destroying a marriage. And Ron, you both need to understand that my home is not your convenience. I continued, addressing each of them, making sure my stance was clear. Ron, who had been silent, finally spoke, his voice a low rumble. But we're family, Monica. Family sticks together. That's just it, Ron. Family respects each other. Mark disrespected our marriage, and you both disrespected my home. That's not family, that's taking advantage. Mark, now fully deflated, made one last plea. Monica, please, I have nowhere else to go. I'll change, I swear. I stood up, my resolve as solid as ever. It's too late for promises, Mark. We're done. And as for having nowhere to go, that was your choice when you left. I've moved on. You gave me these divorce papers, I said, holding them up. And I signed them. We've been officially divorced for 2 months. The room went silent, the shock palpable in the air. Mark's parents looked from him to me, disbelief written all over their faces. You're divorced? Judy finally managed to say, her voice barely a whisper. I nodded. Yes, and now, I'd like Mark to collect his things and leave my house. And Judy, Ron, I wish you well, but from now on, my home is my own, I declared, the finality in my tone brooking no argument. Mark was grasping at straws now, desperation clear in his voice. Monica, please, I made a mistake. I'll change, I promise. I'll clean, I'll cook, I'll do anything. But my decision was firm. It's too late, Mark. It's over between us. And just so you know, I got a job as an accountant while you were away. I don't need you to take care of me. He was floundering, his pleas becoming more frantic. But Monica, you can't do this. I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem anymore, Mark. If you don't leave, I'll call the police, I said, my tone leaving no room for negotiation. At that point, Judy and Ron stood up, their faces a mix of disappointment and realization. They approached Mark, each taking one of his arms. Let's go, son. You've made your bed, now you have to lie in it, Ron said, his voice heavy with resignation. Before they left, Judy turned to me, her eyes softening. Monica, you're right. Our son was a fool to let a woman like you go. Life, after Mark and his parents' departure, settled into a rhythm that was all my own. I heard bits and pieces about Mark through the grapevine, friends who couldn't help but share the latest gossip. They said he was living with his parents again, struggling to find his footing in a world where he couldn't just rely on someone else to clean up his messes. Monica, you won't believe what I saw today, Lisa said one afternoon, her voice a mix of amusement and disbelief. Mark was at the grocery store, and let me tell you, he looked rough. Hair all over the place, clothes mismatched. It's like he's lost without you. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of vindication. Well, Lisa, that's what happens when you take everything for granted. Eventually, you have to face the consequences. The word was that Mark tried his hand at dating again, but no surprise, it didn't go too well. The same issues that drove me away were now driving away other potential partners. He's demanding, messy, just a lot to handle, a mutual friend shared. No one wants to put up with that. I nodded, a sense of closure enveloping me. Some lessons are learned the hard way, I said, not without a hint of satisfaction. As for me, life had taken a turn for the better, a stark contrast to the disheveled, pathetic figure Mark had become. I got a job as an accountant again, my mind sharp, my contributions valued. The office was a buzz of activity, a place where I thrived, surrounded by numbers and reports. And it wasn't just my career that had taken a turn for the better. My personal life was blossoming too. There was someone new, someone who was everything Mark wasn't. His name was Daniel, and he brought a sense of calm, a respect that I had longed for. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, my life was a testament to resilience, a story of rising from the ashes. Mark, now just a distant memory, was a reminder of what I had overcome. I was Monica, no longer the shadow of someone else's demands or expectations.